Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Women Who Rock with Success, a digital media source for professional and entrepreneurial women. Did you know that we can be found on Google Play, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Sam's Broadcasting, AutoCast, and more? Women Who Rock with Success airs live each Tuesday at 9 a.m. Central Time, followed by our latest brand, Women Who Rock Investigates. We handpick professional women in many areas who can provide credible information in their field to build your business and lifestyle. To learn more about us, just visit our website at www.womenwhorockwithsuccess.com.
Good morning and welcome to the show. This is your show host, Ms. Diane Winbush, and thank everyone for tuning in on today. We have a special guest that is in the studio with us. Is going to share her brand with us just for a few minutes. And so welcome to the show, Dr. Hall, Dr. KaNisha Hall, and thank you for reaching out to us. So tell us a little bit about you.
Good morning, first of all, and thank you for having me on your platform. So I am an anesthesiologist that also practices in addiction medicine, and I'm a philanthropist that runs a nonprofit, the Alfred Hall Foundation, that I started in honor of my dad to encourage other inner city youth and other minorities to enter into healthcare fields and also to be entrepreneurs. I'm originally from Shreveport, Louisiana, and my practice currently is in Houston, but I have several state licenses, and I use telemedicine to reach all of my patients in 7 different states.
Okay, great. That's wonderful. So why medicine and why anesthesiology?
So growing up, I'm trying to remember. I do believe I was around 15 when I had my first black doctor, my OBGYN in my hometown, who was my mom's OBGYN. Was the first time I myself had a black doctor. I'm not your typical person that, it wasn't like since I was 5 years old, I knew I wanted to be a doctor, but I knew I wanted to make a difference. And representation matters. And I've had several people in my family with, chronic illness. And I'm a scientist by nature. My background is in chemistry. And when you notice that it seems as if some certain disease processes from diabetes to high blood pressure, we've taken it as our norm for it to set up shop and live in the black family. And that did not sit well with me. So I knew in order to make a difference, I needed to be in this field and also represent other young black children who would not think it were possible if they did not see it for themselves.
Because there is so much stereotyping today as to as to how individuals, perceive African Americans and also the women of color that are in in authority, and so I think that is a wonderful takeaway for women. That is so great. So how are you supporting the need to get more diversity in medicine so that healthcare disparities are brought to the forefront for the women of color?
So me also being a woman of color, and one of the biggest genres where black women are discriminated against is labor and delivery, OBGYN, obstetrics, trying to have a child. Black women are 6 to 7 times more likely to die than our white counterparts bringing life into this world. So as an anesthesiologist, most people just think of my role as, I come in, I do the epidurals, but really when these emergencies occur, if there is an emergency C-section, if there is something that's happening, it's actually the anesthesiologist's job to advocate on behalf of the patients. In general, there's systemic bias. And this was admitted by practicing nurses and physicians, where they admitted to believing that black women do not experience pain as white women. So we're all often gone neglected, not treated because we are seen as complainers. And they don't believe anything is wrong just because we say we are having pain, because in their mind, even if we are having pain, they believe that we can bear it better. So it's okay. You can ignore them. And I was having this conversation with a colleague the other day when someone as famous as the tennis player Serena Williams nearly dies having her child. And it was literally a blurb in our lives, and it's gone. This woman almost lost her life, even as she was advocating for herself, and even has gone on to advocate for other women and tell her story, and yet and still we are being ignored. So being there on labor and delivery when Black women are in labor, when they are having their children, having conversations with them to make sure that their needs are being communicated to the other staff, and also talking to other doctors in training, both Black and white, that we have to be aware of our own bias. Because even some other Black physicians who are often trained by white physicians, I'm blessed to have gone to an HBCU. I went to Howard University College of Medicine. So I was trained. I was looked after. I was poured into by other physicians that looked like me. And I consider myself blessed because everybody does not have that intake and that input. But I feel it my duty to take what I learned at my historically Black college and university and share that with my colleagues to make them aware of how biased they are when it comes to gender and race in healthcare.
Absolutely, because that is a growing trend that's on social platforms in regards to it seems like that African American women are treated with less attention when it comes to them delivering babies. I see it all over social media in regards to on a professional level I do. And so that kind of disturbs me simply because of the fact that pain is pain. And if an individual needs something, they need it at that moment just as long as it does not interfere with the last stage of delivery. So this is awesome here that is going to be able to sound very loud and clear to African American women as well as all women. So, so it can be brought more to the forefront. Great example that you shared there. So so the next question is, do you pressure or police your own family members about health? Because a lot of times, we always go and we will preach and we will speak and we will accept invitations to other events and what have you and things like that. And then also it is important because one of the steps that I use or techniques that I use at home and is what I do is that, I don't want you using regular cooking oil. We're going to go to the olive oil method and use that. And so sometimes I will have to use methods here at home first. So what is your take on that as far as family and getting them to be more aware of their own health?
So I'm so glad you asked this question. So I'm in a multi-generational household. I'm a single mother with a daughter, but my mother stays with me to help me raise my child. She has her own medical ailments, but she is still my mother. And being a Black daughter to a Black mother, it does not matter how many degrees I have. It does not matter how old I am still her child, and that is still my mother. So what I do, how I engage her is, one, I lead by example. I live a very healthy lifestyle, and I'm not going to lie and say I'm not above manipulating her with her beloved grandchild, her one and only granddaughter. So as far as like diet and nutrition, I tell her that I want to give my daughter the best opportunities in life. So we might not do things the way that we did them when I was growing up. We don't fry a lot of foods. We eat a lot of fresh fruits. We don't use any canned vegetables as they're high in sodium. And when I use my daughter as an example of how we want to do things better, it typically makes it easier for her to fall in line with the protocol. I work out, I ride my bike, I try to live a healthy lifestyle by example, but also I employ her to advocate for herself. I make sure that her physicians look like her. She might not listen to me, but I know I have a good rapport with my other colleagues. I make sure that my mom goes to minority physicians that are going to advocate for her as an older black woman and make sure she does her screening and preventative health before she gets sick. The same thing with my brother. After, recently us losing Chadwick Boseman, I know that it's been one of his biggest fears, in his early 40s of a colonoscopy. But I went and found him a black male gastroenterologist to make him more comfortable. And I found him a black male urologist to make him more comfortable, where I can't, that's my older brother. He's older than me by 4 years, and that's my mother that gave birth to me. I can't tell these people what to do, but I make sure I encourage them to advocate for themselves, ask questions, and I implore them to have physicians that look like them. Just like I finished medical school in 2008. I am less than 2% of board-certified anesthesiologists in this country as a black woman. I've seen my share of discrimination. I have had patients say horrible things to me and refuse me because I am black and because I am a woman. For just as many times I am discriminated against, I encourage my community to advocate for themselves and ask. It's okay to ask for a physician, for a nurse, for someone, a patient advocate that looks like you. It is within your rights. And the recent report show, which is why Bloomberg donated hundreds of millions of dollars to HBCU medical schools, is that patients, black patients, white patients, all patients treated by black physicians have better prognosis and better outcomes.
Oh, wow. And I do perhaps agree with that. I think we need to be, many times, especially African Americans, we go into the office and or the hospital, ER, whichever one comes first, that we are getting treated for. And so we'll sit down and we will not ask questions. So I think it's very, very important and imperative. And then if it's something that we don't understand, we need to make sure that we know what the terminology is so we can be effective in making changes for our health. So with the last question, thank you so much for that. With the last questions, let the listeners know how they can be able to find you, how they can be able to follow your brand, also any upcoming books that you have that you're going to publish, or any speaking engagements that you would like to share with the audience. You can be able to do that at this time.
So you can always find me on Instagram at Dr. KaNisha, DrKanisha. As for upcoming speaking, I will be talking about black women on labor with Dr. Tamika Cross. She's a black OBGYN who had an encounter on the Delta Airlines flight where they would not allow her to render aid because the stewardess did not believe that she was a physician, and she started the hashtag What a Doctor Looks Like. So I'll be doing the IG Live with her on next week. They can also check out my website at drkanisha.com. And, yes, there are plenty of self-help and motivating books to come.
Okay, great. So today, audience, we have heard from Dr. KaNisha Hall, and she shared a very impeccable story and information with us as to how to get more aware and stay in the loop as to what your medical reports are. Ask questions. Make sure you get all of the answers and facts that you need, and also be able to be a voice as to what is going on in America in regards to the percentage of African American women, being stereotyped and getting the less help that they need while they're in the room of delivery. So again, Dr. Hall, thank you so much for being our guest on today.
Thank you so much for having me.